Hello there YouTube, Elite Legionarii here, and today I'm bringing you another replay battle, this time by my mate, the SwedishLandSknekt. Now, he sent it to me even though he's got his own channel. He did want me to commentate it, which is quite cool. This is a build he's been experimenting with. You may see his video recently about the Swiss Guard units. He was testing various types with them here, and he wanted me to do the replay in his battle. So I'm going to link his channel, and I'm also going to link this specific video concerning these Swiss Guards, because it's a great video. He does very good unit breakdowns. So the build it's pretty defensive in orientation. It's got 4 units of Puffy's crossbowmen taking up the front, and then let's see, he's got 1, 2, 3, I think it's probably 4 Swiss Guard and 4 Halberd Militia, and they're mixed in together here. So the idea is to try and draw people into the front of this formation, and they're very effective at stalling units. It's got a decent cavalry wing, about as best as a Papal States can do. It's got a mounted sergeant here as a skirmish, well, not skirmish, as a as a disruption type unit. Then he's got, I think it was 2 broken lances, a general's bodyguard, and a men-at-arms, 2 Papal Guard back here, and I'm guessing that's some dismounted broken lances. No, they're dismounted men-at-arms. I think he's got 2 of them in the back there. His opponent is playing as Russia. Now, I'm going to have to say this right now. This battle has one of the weirdest things I've ever seen in my entire Medieval 2 experience happen in it. I've been playing this game for quite a long time now. I've done probably 1,000 battles all up. I added all my battles together, more than that. And this has to be one of the weirdest. This battle has one of the weirdest things I've ever seen in it. Anyway, you'll see that in a moment. The Russian player's got 4 units of Cossack musketeers up here. Probably they're the best musketeer unit in the game, actually. However, they're pretty expensive at the same time, and if they're rushed, they can be nullified. He's got 1, 2, 3 British axemen in the front row, supported by 2 spearmen, and then I'm guessing that's 4 dismounted boyar sons. And of course, always the power in these Russian armies are the Tsar's Guard. He's got 1, 2 over here, supported by a couple of spearmen units. Yep. Then he's got another one back here, so it's 3 Tsar's Guard, a general's bodyguard. This is on huge scale too, and then he's got a Devor Cav, which is probably the best horse archer unit in the game. So without further ado, let's begin. So SwedishLandSknekt definitely has that well, no, actually no, probably the Russian player has a missile superiority. So yeah, he definitely has the missile superiority there. But Puffy's crossbowmen are about the best thing you've got to take on muskets if you haven't got muskets of your own, to be honest. But you're going to see some interesting things happen here. Without further ado, the Russian player will start opening up his guns here in a minute, when Swede sort of gets a bit closer. And within just a couple of volleys, look at that, 1 volley and he goes from fresh to shaken. And I think it's like 2 volleys, I think. It doesn't really kill any of Swede's men, but I think it's, yeah, he kills a few of Swede's men, not very many. He's only killed, okay, yeah, he has killed a few there actually, and look at that, instant rout there. So musketeers do this, they're really great at damaging morale, but I've never seen them do it quite that quickly before. But that's not impossible. So here, Swede sent his mounted sergeant in. I don't know what that was for actually. I wouldn't see them into a Tsar's Guard, but he's going to do a pull out. Maybe he's just trying to soften them up a little bit. But I wouldn't recommend doing that. I'd wait for opportunities to go after the Cossack musketeers.
We must act now.
But maybe he was trying to draw them away from his line, but that doesn't actually go off all that well. Maybe he was trying to cause some disruption here. Swedes knows at this stage, now he wants to play a defensive battle because that's how his units work here, but he knows he can't muck around. These musketeers are going to have his soldiers destroyed too quickly, and the morale damage is going to be quite bad. As you can see, these Halberd Militia are already shaken. So there is a reason why the Cossack musketeer is the best musketeer, but I've never quite seen it done that quickly, to be honest. It's very impressive. More of a chance thing there though, but you're going to see some of the weirdest stuff happen to these Tsar's Guard in this fight. His opponent is Patchy Boy 1 there, by the way. I don't think I've played him before though. So essentially Swede is doing the only thing he can do. He's got to rush. He's got to force these muskets out of the way. Now he sends his light cav out, no, it's a general's bodyguard rather.
We need to act.
So in a minute, you're going to see some very interesting things happen in a moment. So there is 3 Sarsgaard or 2 spearmen in this vicinity, right? And now these broken lances and men-at-arms are vastly inferior cavalry. Okay, so Swedes comes in, and he slips through one of them through here, and he's got the spearmen in to help him. And let's look, how long does this last? Swedes just takes that. Look, 1 routed at 41. That's a full strength unit routing of Sarsgaard. Look, 2. There's a spearman going rather. 3. The other spearman, and I believe this Sarsgaard goes as well. It might not actually, but that is bizarre. There's nothing. That's really weird. Like a full unit of Sarsgaard just routed under vastly inferior cavalry. I've never seen that before. But anyway, they're going to come back. Here's spearmen supporting as well. Maybe because they started routing, it caused a chain rout. Maybe, but I've never seen that happen before. So now, what the Russian player does wrong here is he takes the fight straight into Swedes' halberds, Swiss Guard and his halberds. You shouldn't do that. Get round the flanks, take advantage of their lack of mobility, and make advantage of that. He should also, when his guys regroup, try and force these cav away and get around the flank and get flank shots those musketeers so he can get that massive shaken morale effect. Over here the generals are getting to a scrap, but Swedes get a better charge. And it's very interesting that Swedes caved it as well as they did here, so he's going to get these British axemen. That's going to be brutal. And now he's going to finally deal with these Cossack musketeers. And that's going to be real brutal. But the Russian player is making a lot of mistakes. He's fighting these guys frontal. You should not do this. They take advantage of their mobility and move around their flanks, because that will enable you to defeat them. Fighting the halberds like the Swiss Guard from the front rather, they're very strong from the front. Now heavy infantry can beat them, but Russian heavy infantry is not great. So the halberds will make fairly short work of them. Now Swedes has got flank charges going on. He has to be careful though, the Sarsgaard to come back, and of course the Sarsgaard are, in my opinion, one of the best cavalry units in this game. The reason I say that is they're not got great charge, but they always win their meat grinder fight. They're like the best melee cav in the game for some reason. They always win that kind of fight. In fact, I would go so far as to call them the best cavalry in the game, because they still do a pretty good charge combined with an extremely good melee fighting capacity, and they make them lethal. But that was the weirdest thing that just happened before. I've never seen that happen like that before. It's one of those kind of inconsistencies in Medieval 2. So as you can see, these Russian infantry units are getting just stuck on these guys, and they're just getting completely destroyed by them, you know. So the Russian player should have moved around the flanks, because the thing is, with this kind of build with Swedes is using, it's very it's static, quite difficult to maneuver it because of the way halberds work. So take advantage of that. Yes, Swedes manages to rout these guys again, but it's probably because they already routed once and it shook the morale up pretty bad. So I've got to take it off to these broken lances. It's pretty darn impressive to take on cav that's so much better. The general fight should go Swedes' way. You got the better charge. So now basically Swedes is keeping pretty good order here, which is good because he has to, because if he gets spread out and then he can get separated, and that's not good for his guys. So he's going to create that impenetrable wall with his halberds, while he causes all sorts of chaos in the flank lines, and the Russian player is all disorganised and out of order. Now as you can see, he's moving units of Papal Guard around to close an encirclement here. What if I were doing as a Russian player, I'd quickly get these guys around the flank to try and disrupt Swedes' line. He has got one of these Papal Guard to actually rout here, but I mean they've got pretty good morale. Swedes decides to disengage here, which I think causes a bit of a rout. Yeah, several of his men rout here when he tries disengaging. So when he got into those flanks there and stuff off Swedes' line, they routed there. So that's not so great. But as you can see, Swedes have still got plenty of guys left, and I'm pretty sure, yeah, these guys are going to regroup. Yep, they're going to regroup. So they've got pretty good morale overall, some of those Swiss Guard and stuff, men-at-arms. As you can see, the cav is starting to rout as well. Slightly in Swedes' favour, however. But it's kind of degenerating quite a bit here. Let's see, the Broken Lancers are not going to be able to do these Sarsgaard twice. But I've got to say they did very well. But I don't count on that happening often, guys. In fact, count on that almost never happening. This is what you call one of those random moments in Medieval 2, and nothing else. But the Russian player is still making mistakes. He needs to be flanking these halberd units. Now, like if you had feudal knights, you could take them from the front, anything like that. They would eventually defeat the Swiss Guard. Russian troops probably can do it, but not as well. And because Sweden's got so many and so much mass in his forces here, it's not working for the Russian player. And of course he's got some heavy infantry to play support roles, which is working out real nicely for him. So, as you can see, it chain routes the Russian, and eventually Swedes is going to be able to win this. But these Tsar's Guard are going to get in behind his line. Now what he needs to do is forget about these missile units and get in behind these Swiss Guard when they're pinned on anything he's got left, if he wants to rout Swedes guys. But at this stage there's not enough left to do so anyway. So very little point. As you can see, Swedes is constantly reorganising, keeping himself together, because if he does let these guys get spread out, he's going to weaken them so bad. They're a unit that works together in tightness and formation. Honestly, they're not a unit I would recommend majorly for, especially for competitive play. Don't use them, because they are not designed for that kind of fight. They're pretty good in sieges because they can, take a pretty good charge then, and they're very good against blocking out cav. Not quite as good as pikemen, but close. So these Tsar's Guard are still in the back here, harassing him a bit. But I mean, it's very impressive because this army's pretty outclassed by that Russian army. I mean, the Papal States are one of the weaker end factions, but Swedes are just experimenting with builds here and stuff. He's doing quite a bit of it these days. But as you can see, the Russian player is pretty chaotic, and Swedes is doing what he can to keep formation alive, basically. As you see, the Russian player still got some spearmen and things out here, and some Dvor cav, which I think he's forgotten about. As you can see, Swedes is trying to reorganise his forces. However, he's probably not noticed this. So they're going to take that charge with those Tsar's Guard. And as I said, Tsar's Guard are probably the best cav in the game, actually, because their charge isn't great, but they still do quite a bit of damage on it for some reason, even though their charge stats are only about 5, I think. I think they're 5. But they almost always win their melee fights. This is why I was so shocked earlier in the fight by what happened. But they are really superb. Even when they fight units that have got like maces and they've only got swords, they still tend to win. It's strange. It makes Russia very effective though. So these Swiss Guard taking on the remainder of this fight. It's even catching a good close action there with this Swiss Guard. Let's see. These Cossack Musketeers impressed me too with how quickly they caused that rout earlier on. There's some kind of different things happened in this fight, but mostly it's little pockets and snippets of fighting now. Swedes has essentially won the fight. But look, these Musketeers ran these guys off, but they're probably because they're exhausted though. So now these boyar sons come into the fight against these Swiss Guard here.
Our men are under attack.
There's a cool animation that the Swiss Guard do where they knock someone to the ground, then they smash their halberd right down top of them while they're on the ground. I'm trying to catch one for you. It's really, really cool. Maybe this guy's over here. Oh, there you go, one in the back. Where is it? I haven't seen it though in this particular fight. I know it would have happened, I just haven't spotted it. But it's quite a cool animation. Over here, Tsar's Guard getting pinned on the Swiss Guard, and the Swiss Guard do well against cavalry. I'm pretty sure they got the effective against armour trait, which helps them as well. But they're very static, very sort of slow, not a very easy moving unit, so getting around their flanks is essential. So what I want to upload next is I'll do it in another video. It is a counter to Swedes, this army, where he'll use this army against me, and I'll demonstrate a way in which you could defeat it by taking advantage of mobility and their lack of mobility and that various sort of thing. So there's just these Dvor cav left, and I think I'll just triple here. Let's see. Charges these guys here. They'll still do a fair bit of damage because Dvor can do pretty well on the charge, but they're too exhausted and tired to be able to take these dismounted guys on. So it admits defeat there. Let's see, 72%, 86%. So a pretty close one. But it's not a competitive army that Swedes is using, but it is an effective one. If you look there, very close. 1,079 kills and 1,017 kills. So pretty close in that regard, and pretty similar army sizes to in the deployment phase. But Swedes got 311 captures. It takes them out to about 1,400, nearly 1,500 there, I suppose, or nearly 1,500, I think. And there's only 120 catches for Patchy Boy there, but both of them played pretty well there. Pretty good game, but some interesting stuff there. Look at these broken lances, 170, I suppose because it's the higher unit size means more kills. So 106 for these Minotaurs, 58 for this Broken Lancer, 98 here. So I mean, they did pretty well, because you got to realise that Broken Lancers and Men at Arms are very much outclassed by SAR's Guard, but there's some very interesting stuff going on there early in the fight. Some of these crossbows did okay, but most of them didn't do great. The Halberd Militia didn't do very good, other than the fact that they provided a large stalling force. But I mean, the Swiss Guard, 138. Well, I mean, the Papal Guard. These are the Papal Guard actually. 138 for that Papal Guard. That's very impressive, because they're only a spear unit. So 59 here. The Swiss Guard, 29, 31, 35. So again, they didn't get a great deal of kills, but what they did was provide that very dense, thick wall. It's very hard to get through, and it caused the Russian troops to break themselves upon it. So it's a very interesting build. I wouldn't recommend it in a competitive battle against like players you know to be quite good, but players, if you just want to experiment around, it's quite fun. It's more defensive in its style, so it'd be quite effective on a map where it can be used, you know, to force the opponent to come into it, fight it in a defensive zone, make it very difficult to outflank. It would be very effective there. In fact, what we tried, now we'll upload it soon, it was a 3v3 where we put Swedes in the centre in the hopes that it wouldn't be able to be outflanked and we could force our opponents into it. But I won't tell you too much how that one worked, but I will upload it. But of course, great work there by SwedishLandSknekt. A nice idea for bringing in builds. So I'll link his channel, of course, as I always do, and I shall also link the particular battle where he's made the particular video where he's made a whole video dedicated to the Swiss Guard. So anyway, great game to Swedes and Patchy Boy 1. I enjoyed the replay. So of course, guys, I will put my Gmail in there, and if you want to send me a replay, as long, you know, not some mundane battle, preferably. It needs to be fairly interesting, you know. I mean, nothing too hugely epic or anything. I'm not going to shoot you down and stuff like that, but it's just as long as it's interesting enough, and then I'll be happy to upload it when I can get time for it. So thanks for watching this, guys. Be sure to check out Swed's channel. I'm sure you'll appreciate it, and I will see you soon next time.